All in Sports Network. We love sports.
All right. Happy Monday afternoon. Was planning on going live at 1 p.m. It's now 1:21. I had some technical difficulties I had to work out, but now I think we're good. It's going. Welcome in if you're here. I'm here to talk Mizzou, as you can tell. This is All in Mizzou, a show hosted by myself, Davis Wilson, brought to you by Rogue Media. Mizzou every day. I'm doing Monday through Friday shows, and I'm excited to do it. Today I want to get into – so Saturday I reacted to the game, Mizzou, Kansas. I gave my quick initial reactions, and now I want to get into it a little bit deeper. I spent my morning watching all of the Missouri offense's snaps, and I have some things that I saw that I really liked. I thought the offense played very well. I'll get into that in a second. First, though, I do want to talk about a couple other things. The first one, Mizzou enters the AP poll for the first time this season. They're number 25. Not that the AP poll matters all that much anymore, but it's at least cool to see Missouri back ranked in the top 25. The other thing I want to get into before football is we got some Missouri basketball news. Five-star power forward Tony Bryant committed to Dennis Gates and the Tigers this morning. I woke up to the tweet from Dennis Gates, the bat signal. And Tony Bryant visited Columbia and went to the game this weekend. So I'm sure he had a good time, and Mizzou football definitely put on a show for him. But this Tony Bryant kid is a five-star, the second five-star Gates has added to his class, along with Jason Crow Jr. Bryant is 6'9", I believe. He's from Florida. He's a big athlete. I think he's kind of a two-way guy. I mean, I don't know a ton about him. But from what I read, he's an athlete. He can protect the rim. He can shoot a little bit. So really exciting times for both Mizzou football and basketball. I was thinking, at least since I started following Missouri, which I started going to school at Missouri in 2021. And since then, I think this has to be the most exciting 48 hours for Mizzou athletics. I think that's right. I mean, unless I'm missing something obvious. But first, you have obviously the border war win against Kansas, the first border war since 2011. A comeback win, drama late in the game, a lot of fun. And then that was Saturday. Now on Monday morning, you've got a really big-time basketball recruit. This is the first time since 2017 that Missouri has landed two five-star recruits in the same class. I think that was the Porter brothers, so Michael Porter Jr. and Javon Porter. And they were from Columbia. These two guys are from – Jason Crow Jr. is from California. He is the number 3 player in the country. He's from California. And then Tony Bryant, who I think is like the number – I wrote it down here – number 23 player in the country. He's from Florida. So Gates is not only recruiting well, but he's recruiting well across the country, which is a big deal. And that's how you stay relevant and stay talented as a program. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see these two guys play together at Missouri. I mean, it's an exciting time for Mizzou athletics. I think it's hard to deny that. And, yeah, I think I'm going to try to look into Tony Bryant a little bit more, and I can tell you more about him. But all I know is that you've now got 2 5-stars in the class. I think 247 Sports has it as the number 2 class in the country, only behind Florida State. And Florida State has like 4 4-star recruits. So they have more guys, but on average player ranking or whatnot, this is the best class in the country as of now. And I don't think they're done. I think Gates has other targets he's going to go after pretty hard. All right, now let's get into football. So like I said this morning, I watched all Missouri's offensive snaps and kind of wanted to see what worked for them, what didn't work for them. The first thing that obviously worked for them, they ran the hell out of the football today on Saturday. They ran really well. Finished the game with 261 rushing yards. Both Jamal Roberts and Ahmad Hardy finished the game with 100-plus yards, which is the first time that's happened for a Missouri running back duo since 2017, when Ish Witter and Larry Roundtree III both ran for over 100 yards in a win against Tennessee. I have it written down. Ish Witter had 217 rushing yards and a touchdown, and Roundtree had 115 yards and a touch, or 155 yards and a touchdown. Excuse me. So this is a big rushing day for the Missouri Tigers. I'll start with the running backs because that's kind of what kept this offense moving and set up a lot of the late game success that Bo Prabula had throwing the ball. But the beginning of this game, it starts out with, Ahmad Hardy is going to establish his dominance. Missouri is making a point, I think, to really establish your running game. The first drive of the game, right? Like, I think the game starts with a play action pass, and then they start to run it. You get a pitch to the right to Hardy, and then you've got that run kind of straight down where he bounces it left and takes it for a 32-yard touchdown. And at that point in the game, I'm thinking he might run for 250 yards on these guys because it looked so easy. The offensive line was really good. If you look back at it, Caden Green, the left tackle, who we'll talk about a little bit later, had a really good block on that long touchdown to start the game. So, yeah, that's kind of how the thing started. He's just so tough to tackle. On that touchdown run, you can go watch it. He bounced off 2 or 3 guys. It seemed like he did that multiple times throughout the game. Missouri has kind of been churning out really productive running backs ever since, and even before I've been there. The year before I went to Missouri as a freshman, it was Roundtree, and then it was Tyler Beatty or Bidet, whatever he prefers. And then it was Cody Schrader. And then last year you kind of have a two-headed attack with Noel and Marcus Carroll. And those guys were good, but I think now we're back to having a real dude. I think in the limited, snaps that I've seen him play in a Missouri Tiger uniform, I feel like he is one of the most talented running backs this team has had in years. Maybe the most talented, purely talent. He's just so tough to bring down. There was a stat that was shown after his long touchdown. So if I can find it, he was 4th in the country last season in broken tackles behind Ashton Genty, who was the 6th overall pick in the draft, Cam Scatterboo, who was also a third. I think he was a 3rd round pick, maybe, out of Arizona State, and then you have Jarquez Hunter out of Auburn. Those are some big names, upperclassmen names last year. And Ahmad Hardy was a true freshman, and he broke 44 tackles last season. And he's already on pace to continue that. He's leading the country in missed tackles forced through two games. He's got 12 already. It's been 2 games. It's just ridiculous what this guy can do. And he took it to Kansas's defense immediately. I think in the first half, we saw some of Jamal Roberts, but this was really the Ahmad Hardy show. He obviously that first drive he dominated. Then the second drive and the third drive were tough on Missouri's offense. The fourth drive, he also dominated. If you remember, so we'll get into this as well when we talk about Bo, but the second drive of the game is the fumble 6. The third drive, I think they just go 3 and out. And this is at the point where I'm starting to kind of panic about this offense. The fourth drive, they're down 21-6, it seems like, I mean, for me and the fans, it was almost time to panic. The players didn't seem that way at all. He dominated this drive. Um, he had 7 rushes for 27 yards. I'll look at my notes here to see. I mean, he was really good. I think there was a third. I think this is so it was 3rd and 3. Or first it was 2nd and 12 on this 4th drive of the game. He has I think he has a 9-yard run, and then it's 3rd and 3. They give it to him again. He's hit like a yard and a half behind the line of scrimmage. And somehow he picks up the 3 yards. It's just crazy how difficult it is to bring this guy down. And yeah, I mean, it's a ton of fun to watch him. I mean, he's just one of those guys. And then even the next play after that 3rd and 3, I think it was the play right after, he picked up 0 yards. But again, he was hit in the backfield and somehow got back to the line of scrimmage for a gain of 0. He just fights every play. It's like he's a violent runner. He's very physical, and he can make you miss with his speed as well. Like you saw on the long touchdown run on the first drive, he kind of stutter stepped, and the Kansas defense just really had a hard time figuring out what he was going to do, because he can hurt you in a couple different ways. So yeah, it was kind of the Ahmad Hardy show in the first half. He finished the game with 25 rushes, 112 yards, a touchdown. That's for 4.5 yards per rush on average. Like I said, he just kind of wore the defense down. And then you bring in your backup running back, or your number 2, Jamal Roberts, who had a role last year. I mean, a lot of the times his role was pass blocking. He'd come in on 3rd downs, and you knew it was probably going to be a throw because he's in there for pass blocking. This year he is running the ball really well. The second half, he had some really big runs. Also at the end of the first half, you'll remember Kansas punted it with like 30 seconds left. Missouri gets flagged for holding on the punt return. And then they give it to Roberts, who has like a 39-yard run. And it looks like they're kind of conceding the half. They're going to go into halftime down by 3, whatever. But Hardy breaks one out. Roberts breaks one loose for almost 40 yards. And that sets up the big play from Bo Perbula to Kevin Coleman Jr., who almost scores there. But the end of that half, kind of going all over the place right now. But it was set up by that Roberts run. And last year when I was watching these games, going all the games, one thing that kept popping up was the way that Missouri sometimes sort of mismanaged the end of halves. And it looked like this was going to, sometimes mismanaged, sometimes just kind of shot themselves in the foot. And it looked like this half may be the same sort of deal. The end of the first half, you get that holding penalty, and then you get a big run, you're back in business. But after that holding penalty, they just hand it off, and they're probably content to just let it go to halftime. But Roberts breaks it. And then after that, you've got a false start on Keegan Trost, I believe. You're backed up 5 yards again. It's like, golly, they're almost in field goal range. Now they're back. And then obviously that big play Kevin Coleman makes with his legs after the catch to get down there close to the 2-yard line. And then you're able to kick a field goal, tie the game at 21 going at half. But the point I'm making is, I guess I was pleased with the way that Missouri really took advantage of the opportunities they had at the end of the first half, because that tied the game up. And having it tied at 21 after the first quarter Missouri had was kind of a miracle. So that was a big deal. And that was all set up by Jamal Roberts. And you look at what else he did. I mean, he was such a tough runner in the second half. He obviously was the one who put the knife in the heart of the Kansas faithful at the end of the game. He took a touchdown, 62 yards. Missouri was up by 4. He extended their lead to 11, a 62-yard run. Before that, on that drive, he was even really good. He had an 11-yard rush, a 2-yard rush, and then that set up a big 62-yard touchdown. He finished the game with 13 rushing attempts, 143 yards, 1 touchdown, and that comes out to 11 yards per attempt, which is really good. Missouri as a team rushed for 261 yards on 47 attempts, 2 touchdowns. They averaged 5.6 yards per rush. I mean, if this is what this offense can do, it's going to be hard to stop them. If you can rush for 260 yards a game, and you also have the quarterback that you have in Bo Pribula, I think it's going to be tough to beat Missouri. And obviously, you're not going to rush for 260 yards a game, but it's at least a sign that it can happen, and that Missouri now has 2 really talented running backs that are both able to take advantages of defenses. I've been live now for 17 minutes, haven't really mentioned Bo Pribula. This guy, let's move on to him. He was awesome in this game. You didn't really know what you had in him, even after a really solid performance against Central Arkansas. You still don't really know what this guy has. At Penn State, he's a backup for 3 years. Whenever he gets in, it's because he's going to run the ball. I think he started 1 game at Penn State against Wisconsin and threw for like 80 yards. You just don't know what this guy's going to be like, especially as a thrower, a passer. I think when you bring him in as an athlete, but this guy can throw, and he's showing us now. I mean, that he's got talent with his arm. The thing is, he makes really big throws. He doesn't seem to get thrown off by the situation, and he really doesn't make that many mistakes. The one big mistake, didn't protect the ball in that first quarter. He tried to scramble and get a first down, but he kind of got sandwiched. The ball came out. Kansas returns it for a touchdown. I think, that's just ball security. It is what it is. If that's, he still hasn't thrown a pick. That was his first turnover. And, I think he was trying to be Superman there, and just, he got hit pretty hard and the ball came out, and that's that. I also thought sometimes he may have held on to the ball a little bit long. The offensive line held up really well for most of the game, and he kind of held on to the ball a little bit too long on a couple occasions. He seemed a little bit jittery at times in the pocket, where he would either abandon the pocket early, or he would, just kind of sit there waiting for something. That's kind of what I noticed about I don't even want to call him negatives because he was so good, but the negatives of his game against Kansas were just kind of, at times he was a little jittery and he turned the ball over. That one time with the fumble, which at the time was something that I was worried about, because it changed the momentum of the game. But he was just, he was so good otherwise. He just made every throw. There was one throw where it was a little risky, where he didn't see a linebacker underneath. It was tipped. No harm, no foul. Other than that, he just made every throw. He was 30 for 39 with 334 yard touchdowns. He just was not fazed by a 15-point, pretty much an immediate 15-point deficit. He was not fazed by blitzes, different coverages. He just was really comfortable in there in the pocket most of the time. He just commanded the offense very, very well. He just understood the situations. One thing that has surprised me about the way that Missouri used him is there really hasn't been many designed QB runs. I think he only had 1 or 2 designed QB runs, which is a little surprising to me, because like in years past, we've seen Brady Cook that was a big part of his game, was these design QB runs. And when you bring in a guy like Bo Pribula, who was known for his legs at Penn State. I think the expectation was it's going to be a lot of design QB runs, but they are trusting him to throw, make decisions, to tuck it and run when he needs to, which he did a couple times. He hurt Kansas with the legs maybe once or twice on big runs where he just escaped or he felt pressure and got out of there. Another thing that he did really well, which was pretty funny, he drew 3 offsides. His hard count seems to be really effective. And 2 of those were he took advantage of 2 of them with free plays, big passes. That's something to look at the rest of the year. I mean, if this is maybe it's a Kansas defense thing, they're just not, disciplined on those hard count situations. I don't know. It seems like that might be something that he can use later in the season when Missouri needs to draw someone off sides. It's at least something that we know he's capable of doing. But yeah, he got 3 separate offsides on his hard count, which I don't know if I've ever seen that before out of one quarterback in the same game. I mean, a lot of them were, I think one of them turned a 3rd and 6 to a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 6 to 4th and 1. I can't remember. Something big though. More on Bo. He seems to be establishing a connection with his receivers, particularly Kevin Coleman Jr., who had a really, really nice game. Also, Brett Norfleet has taken another step. Bo Pribula seems to really like throwing him the ball. Yeah, he's developing rapport with these guys, and that's a big thing moving on the rest of the season. But my main takeaways from him in the way he played, he's just poised. He's unfazed by it. And a game as big as that, I almost think, since this game hasn't been played in 14 years, I almost think especially a guy who just transferred to Missouri, I know that Drink did a good job of explaining the significance of that rivalry game to his players, but it's almost like Bo was just, no big deal. This is just another game for me. And he was really good. He surprised me, I thought after that fumble he was going to have some trouble, but he didn't have that much trouble. Some throws of his that I liked. Maybe it was the second throw of the game, first drive. It was an out route to Donovan Alubade, the true freshman who had a nice game. It's an out route to him. He was on the right hash. He threw it all the way to the left sideline, which when he threw it, I was like, good God, that's going to get picked and returned for a touchdown. But he put it where it needed to be, where only Alubade could get it. I was impressed with that. Another really good throw he made was on 3rd down. I think it was 3rd down. He found Daniel Blood over the top for 25 yards. Just a perfect throw right where it needed to be. He had a throw to Marquise Johnson that Johnson kind of took off it bounced off his helmet. Probably should have caught it. It was right in the breadbasket though. Really well placed. And then that seam touchdown pass to Brett Norfleet in the 3rd quarter. I believe it was the 3rd quarter. That was a good throw in a tight window. Yeah. I think Missouri has a quarterback, and maybe the best one they've had in years. I think he's based on arm talent, based on overall talent, I feel like this guy is the best Missouri's had in a long time. I think Brady Cook had a warrior factor to him that made him special. This guy is just really talented, and I think he's going to win a lot of games because of that this year. All right, let's move on to the offensive line. A unit I think had a really good game. They started off a little concerning. There were some moments where Bo had early pressure. The run game wasn't working out. especially kind of on that third drive. Things were kind of stalling, but they got it together and put together a really nice game. Dominic Giudice, I still don't know how to say his name, but the guard, he was named All SEC, not All SEC, SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. I think I wrote it down. He had 47. There's 47 pass block snaps. He only allowed 3 pressures and was good in the run blocking game as well. Caden Green, on those 47 pass block snaps, he allowed 0 pressures. He had a 90.9 Pro Football Focus pass block grade in this game. And after the week 1 game where he was a little bit concerning, Drinkwitz made a switch to the offensive line very, very late in fall camp, where he shifted Caden Green from his natural position of left guard. He switched him over to left tackle and moved Curtis Piegler to guard. It was a really late decision. Sometimes that can hurt you because the continuity on the offensive line is so important. And Caden Green hasn't really played left tackle consistently since high school. I think he practiced left tackle a little bit at Oklahoma and maybe a little bit last year at Missouri. But Central Arkansas game, he struggled at left tackle, did not play well. People maybe started to panic on him a little bit, but another week of preparation and understanding the position, which is so different from guard, he played very, very, very well. And it seems like he's kind of going to be the anchor of that offensive line. On the right side, right tackle, Keegan Trost allowed 1 sack. Blocking wise, he was okay, but he made a very big play. It was in the second quarter. It was a really nice run from Hardy, actually. He made a man miss, then broke 2 tackles, trucked someone. It was one of those plays, and then the ball came out at the end of it, and Trost jumped on it, retaining Missouri's possession. Missouri ended up kicking a field goal, I think, on that drive. So just as a unit overall, they're continuing to get better. It's evident that they are continuing to get better because there were some pieces on that Kansas defensive line that were tough to handle, and I knew were going to be difficult to handle. And I think overall they did a really good job, especially opening up run lanes for those 2 running backs, and for the most part protecting Bo Pribula pretty well. A stat, I was looking on PFF this morning, Pro Football Focus. One thing that really stood out to me as we segue into the receivers, one thing that really stood out to me, the 3 highest graded players for Missouri in terms of run blocking were not who you think they'd be. It was receiver Joshua Manning, receiver Marquise Johnson, receiver Kevin Coleman Jr. When you have receivers who can catch and are also willing to run block, that is huge for your offense. It really does mean, it's just an unselfish mentality that I think Drinkwitz has done a good job of instilling, I think. But yeah, man, the 3 highest graded run blockers for Missouri in that game were 3 receivers. Pretty impressive stuff. The receivers, outside of just run blocking, pass catching, they were excellent. They were really good. I can't think of too many big drops they had. That one, Marquise Johnson, was a bit of a drop. But other than that, he was good. Marquise Johnson only caught 2 passes, I think. But he, like I said, he was good in run blocking. He ran a couple of those rub routes that got guys open. So that was good. But I think the biggest takeaway for me in this game, Kevin Coleman Jr. was incredible. It seems to me that Missouri has a new number 1 receiver. He looks a lot like the last number 3 to wear. He seems a lot like the last receiver to wear number 3 for Missouri. He's a shifty guy. He's fast. He's hard to bring down. He's hard to guard. He just played very well. The play that stands out to me with him was obviously you have that 4th down touchdown but the fourth and I want to say it was 4th and 7. Let me look. Actually, I have it. Yeah, it was 4th and this is when Missouri's down by 4 points late in the fourth quarter. It's 4th and 7. A blitz comes. By the way, I thought Prabula did a really good job of handling the blitz, but a blitz comes. He finds Kevin Coleman Jr. He gets lit up, hangs onto the ball, a huge catch, keeps the drive going. That was big. That was the moment that stood out to me. And then, of course, you had at the end of the first half, he caught a pass and almost went and scored a touchdown. He's about 2 yards short, but he finished the game with 10 catches, 126 yards, and 1 touchdown. I mentioned number 87, Brett Norfleet. He looks so big, and he opened that was pretty fun. That's kind of his signature thing, I guess, is jumping over people. Well, he had some big moments. He's developing a pretty nice rapport with Bo Prabula. Like I said, he had that 1 touchdown. Was kind of a seam route up the middle in the third quarter, I think. And then, of course, you had the 4th and 1, which was just an incredible play call. But he gets open. He slips open. Prabula finds him wide open, and he scores to give Missouri a lead that it would not concede the rest of the game. He finished with 7 catches, 76 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Daniel Blood got involved a little bit. Josh Manning got involved a little bit. Donovan Olubade continues to impress me a lot. He had one of the best catches I've seen a Missouri receiver make on 4th and 10. Missouri was really aggressive on these 4th downs because they didn't feel great about their kicker, I guess, their true freshman kicker. So they go for it on 4th down. I think this is I have it down. I think this is in the second quarter, maybe on that drive where they kicked a field goal to cut the lead. Yeah, this was the one where it was cut at the 21 to 18. I think they kicked a field goal, but it was 4th and 10. They were just a bit out of field goal range. They go for it. Bo Prabula throws it to the right sideline. Olubade goes up and gets it with one hand, gets 2 feet in, retains possession. It's a catch on Sundays, on Saturdays, it's a catch anytime. And it was massive. At the time, it was like they're going for it on 4th down. This is crazy. And that was a momentum shifting play. If he doesn't make that catch, it's hard to, you never know really how the game turns out. But it was a pretty remarkable display of athleticism by the true freshman. He was very good. All right. The last couple of things I have about this offense, and I'll get out of here. The play calling. I thought the play calling situationally was really good. I thought Kirby Moore called a really nice game. Did a good job of establishing the run early, and that set up for some big play action later on in the game. There were a couple plays, like the biggest play action of the game was on 4th and 1, another like game-changing play. You're down by 4. You need a yard. It wasn't play action actually, but you have Jamal Roberts in the backfield. You have Kevin Coleman Jr. motioning to the right. So you have Kevin Coleman Jr. going to the right. You have Roberts going to the right. You have Marquise Johnson coming across to the right. Then you have Olubade going up top to the left. And then you have Norfleet kind of sneaking out, leaking out to the left, which he was wide open. A really cool play call. As I watched it today, it was like the defense was, betting on the ball going to the right because that's where all your playmakers were going. But Norfleet sneaks out. Really nice play call. They take the lead there. I just thought there were the 4th downs, they were 4 or 5 on 4th down conversions. All of them were huge. All of them were very, very big. The first one, the first fourth down conversion of the game was a touchdown. That's right. I remember now. It was a touchdown to Kevin Coleman Jr. He motioned over. They found him. The second one of the game was the 4th and 10 I was just talking about with Alubade. The third one of the game was the one they did not convert. Perbula tried to get it to Marquise Johnson. It was good coverage, whatever. And then the last two on that, the drive where Missouri took the lead once and for all. They had the 4th and 7 I was talking about with Kevin Coleman Jr., and then they had the 4th and 1 to Brett Norfleet. So I thought the fourth down, that was really aggressive. They had a plan, and it worked out for them. That was the thing, man. I thought Drinkwitz was very aggressive. He was coaching to win the game, and I don't think Leipold was aggressive at all. He, punting the ball on 4th and 6 back to Missouri while they're already down by 4 points. And after your defense kind of, Missouri's offense cuts right through the defense, Leipold punts back to Missouri, and then, of course, Jamal Roberts scores a long touchdown to seal the game. It feels like Leipold was probably playing not to lose. Missouri was playing, or Drinkwitz was playing to win. I was impressed by that. Final score was 42-31. I actually think Missouri could have scored more. You talk about the two last drives of the first half, the 2 field goals. On third down, on that first field goal, Perbula looked to Marquise Johnson in the end zone. It looked to me like a pretty obvious holding. He was grabbing his shirt. If that's called or if the penalty doesn't happen, you probably score a touchdown there. I want to say at least there's a better chance. And then Kevin Coleman Jr. almost scored a touchdown on that last play of the first, or the second to last play of the first half before he kicked the field goal. He's about 2 yards short. If he gets in there, I mean, I think Missouri actually left points on the board. But overall, really a good game. They outgained Kansas 595-251. And, oh, yeah, the other thing about this Missouri offense that was so good was they just kind of dominated time of possession. They went on these long drives where it was like 10 plays, 12 plays, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever. And you're keeping the ball away from Jalen Daniels. You're keeping the ball away from Jalen Daniels and that offense. And I think this is an offense that's capable of striking fast, but they didn't. And I think it was helpful in their game plan to go on these long drives that just ate the clock. And there was that stat in the second quarter. I wrote it down somewhere. I can't find it. It was the second quarter, and Missouri had the ball for like all but 56 seconds of the quarter. They just didn't give them a chance they didn't give Kansas really a chance to score or even get the ball. So I thought that was really good. This team is fun. This team is a lot of fun. As you look forward, next week you've got a Louisiana team coming to town who that's a team that lost its week 1 game to Rice, and maybe Rice is better this year. But that's probably not a great loss. They beat McNeese last week 34-10. I'll get into more preview stuff on them later in the week. But after that game, things start to really happen. You're going straight into SEC play. You've got South Carolina coming to town. You get a quick break for that UMass game, and then Alabama. I don't know, man. This team looks like it could be really good, especially this offense. Tomorrow I'll do a breakdown of what I thought of the defense, but offensively, I thought they did a lot of things right and not a lot of things wrong. And that's usually a recipe for success. And it seems to me like they've got a quarterback that can win games for them. So I'm excited to keep watching this team. It's going to be a lot of fun. I was really just thoroughly impressed by everybody who, all the parts of that offense on Saturday. So that's all I've got. Thanks for tuning in. This is All in Mizzou with Rogue Media. I'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy your Monday.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.